away from the key defensive post. That should be Rutten.
Sunday night football underway from the MCG. Enjoy this one. Clearance is going to be important, and look at that, right on cue, out of the gun, cross to West, a couple of handballs each, and Eagleton will send it out.
Thanks. Right there.
For Scotty West.
Well, fortunately not going to flood, are they? Every player's already in the Western Bullies front half.
Right there. Play on.
McMahon coming off a career-high 30-possession game last week.
Another important matchup deep. Steffi Johncock has got Robbins back in the team.
Morris going deep. This is McDougall. White pushed off it. Van Berlo. Goodwin knocking it to McLeod. Feeding Rutten in the back pocket. Adelaide can look to go. Good shepherding off the ball, freeing up Goodwin to Shirley to Van Berlo. Good movement by this Adelaide team. Now it's an open forward line. Thompson puts it in the path of Welsh. There's no one in the Crows 50. Welsh good pick up. Stevens heading forward. Tawney going towards him. Can Stevens get it in the pocket? Good spoil by Gilby. Boundary throw in Adelaide deep in attack.
Well, they did move it quickly, and because of the flood, Adelaide ended up with a massively open forward line. The kick could have cleared and still had 30 metres to run to goal.
Hudson caught behind Minson. This boundary throw-in was short. Edwards, was he held? Play on the call. Minson again. Dispossessed. Dacked as well. West takes it, feeds power off to Eagleton. This is where they're dangerous. And Eagleton is away. He's got Ackermanis over the top. He feeds it to him in game 250. Acker too far out to score. Penetrating kick in the Johnson direction. Bassett the spoil. G and Syracuse are good hands. Robbins trying to work it on. Griffin did well. Robbins to G and Syracuse. A wonderful build-up. And Murphy will say, I'm not sure whether it was going to go through. I'll take it myself. It was marked in the goal square, so it will be directly in front for Robert Murphy.
Well, Murphy, I think he was a bit lucky. I think he was having a crack at goals, but it worked out perfectly.
Goal to Murphy. The Dogs strike first.
Well, I don't mind that. This will be quick in the right sort of way. If you get a fast break, as they say in the other game, which we won't mention, then you're going to be in business today. If you're going to be slow and going laterally, both sides are obviously going to have the capacity to get numbers back. It's going to make it difficult to score. But the Bulldogs' movement and precision use of the ball is the key.
I think you're right there, Jen Syracuse. It looked like he was having a bit of a sniff at the big sticks. That Robert Murphy did the right thing and took the mark.
Murphy injured his knee round 9 last year against the Magpies. Had 13 goals to that stage. Kicked one last week on return from that reconstruction and starts well here. Adelaide with the centre clearance. Riley, Goodwin, Van Berlo. Remember, a lot of handballs from the Crows last week. 161 versus 164 kicks. Riley a little bit more direct. Stevens coming out. Welsh draws traffic. Feeds Boda was the late call up for Burton. Hurries it towards the goal square. A presence up forward last week with 3. Griffin now. Gee, who's on Eagleton? He's had some space early. And he's got the northern wing to himself.
Well, I reckon it was David Glascott was the first winger I ever saw play on one wing and then just all of a sudden run to the other side of the ground. I think you're his coach, David, and he certainly set a trend.
Out of the coach's direction, mind you.
Switches on for Adelaide to the southern wing. This is Bode. Over the top for Shirley. Stevens. Back for Shirley, back for Stevens.
Now it's difficult. They're going to have to go short because the Dogs have got the numbers back. Big Will Minson sitting in the post.
6 kicks, 19 handballs for Adelaide so far as Minson. Oh, big man with exquisite skills. Eagleton just knocking it in the path of Gilby.
In danger because the best kick in the Dogs side has got it. This time he missed, Kurt.
Short for Murphy, made him work. Matner is Murphy's opponent early. Edwards for Van Berlo. And that's good vision. Pops it in the path of Shirley. Ackermanis in pursuit.
Gee, the turnover stats is going to tell a big story at the end of the day.
Stevens marks it in the field of play.
Lose possession against either one of these sides and you're going to get hurt generally.
Wasn't a good hit of Eagleton, so I thought Eagleton might catch it. I think he had plenty of room and time, but his knock-on was just superb under pressure.
Scott Stevens, the one-time swan from a tight angle, misses everything.
Brad Johnson, he's pushed up the ground. We've got McDougall and Rutten at the other end of the ground. We'll have a look at those shortly, but I just suspect that McDougall will try to get Rutten, David, away from the play because he's such a great reader of it.
McLeod now following G and Syracusa with Tawney alongside of Ackermanis as you just watch the Bulldogs build up the numbers in the back half. So confirming at the other end, Matner alongside of Murphy. Bassett on Johnson. Now Minson at full stretch, unable to get that, and then gives away a sloppy three to Goodwin. Advantage play on with Edwards. Goes to an unguarded goal square. Welsh getting back. Taps it on. Bott. It'll stay in for him. Gilby to beat. Swings onto the right. It'll be a wonderful goal if he's got it. He misses to the near side.
And down on the boundary line, Rowan, an early interchange. Robert Murphy off and the youngster on.
Yeah, that's right. Shawn Higgins is going to come on. He'll provide a little bit of spark. He's a known goal kicker. Murph obviously coming back from reconstruction, just having a little bit of a rest.
McMahon to Ackermanis at midfield.
Got a new opponent, Acker, too. It looks like Tawney.
So a lot of magnetic changes on the magnetic board as Van Berlo goes inside 50 to Welsh.
Still continues to make. You talk about turnovers there, Gerard, but if you can come back on rebound like that, even though Western Bullies had 8 or 9 in the 50, they hadn't actually gathered opponents. So if you're precision, you'll find a bloke, which was done beautifully on that occasion.
Injury interrupted year for Scott Welsh last season. Kept out till round 19. Shin and quad injuries. Did kick 5 goals in the final round against Melbourne, but had a quiet final series. Looking for the Crows first today, and he gives them an early lead.
Well, it did look like a confident approach by Welsh. I thought his stutter and stammer on the way in was indicating he wasn't all that confident, but he kicked very accurately and very long, and I think that's important for him. He needs a good start.
Good replay there of Lindsay Gilby, and I think it's a good rule, the inability to knock hands, because if you take the front spot, you should be entitled to be able to take a mark.
Agreed. I love that rule.
And it's made a massive difference to the scores early in the season.
Welsh with his first for this new season. Adelaide 1-1, Dogs a goal. Perfect conditions for football. Just a magic Easter Sunday evening in Melbourne. There's Minson and Hudson contest in the middle. Hudson met very solidly by Cross. Eagleton quick hands for West. Bounce will be important. Johnson kept out of it by Bassett early. This is McLeod. And sharing with Edwards. Doughty, who started on the bench, to Shirley. Breaks the Eagleton tackle. Drives wide of Riley. Power with the interception for the Dogs. Goes to Cooney. And the former West Adelaide player takes the mark. Now Johnson a long way up the ground, marking here on the wing. And bereft of 3 men downfield, so good defensive pressure by the Crows. The kick's an ineffective one as well.
Good signs for Adelaide at the moment.
They're up and about early. Edwards to Perry on the wing, spoiled by White. Support from Bassett. Has to go short. The kick though is good. Welsh again, loose men at centre half forward. They're queuing up. Should go all the way here, Stevens. He's just going to be unselfish and drop it off the Bop, and the Crows get their second. Well, very good movement from Adelaide, and Nathan Bock, who kicked 3-3 last week. Guess we all thought he was going to be a defender in his career, David. But
well, that's true. And the again precision work on the way back. Give Adelaide the due. They used it with 4 of classical car, and Hargraves in the finish got totally and utterly confused as whether he should come and meet the player or go back and sit on the van who eventually kicked the goal. So that's a very good sign. They are up and going. They're winning their share of the ball.
And they start the centre clearance with a new ruckman, Hudson off, and the youngster Griffin in for a crack against Will Minson, who's a youngster himself.
David Nice said pre-game they had to win the contested ball, the Crows, today. 14-7, David Early. Contested possessions won from Adelaide. Edwards going short. And again, Bock presenting. McLeod kicking long to full forward. Perry in front. They could have a third here.
It was just interesting as Stevens actually shepherded. He shepherded so obviously that he almost gave up the possession. It was a smart bit of work, but very close to being knocked off for interfering.
Perry with a career scoring percentage, as you see that, Shepherd, of just 54%. And that's why he's been hearing it from Adelaide fans this week. Conversion, a key. Neil Craig told Rowan Smith in our pre-game coverage they've been working on it this week as Minson with an early rotation.
And speaking of Rowan Smith, he's seen his old skipper back onto the ground.
Yeah, it's good to see Luke Darcy just come back onto the ground. He just tried to get a little bit of a sneaky one. It's going to come to him here now.
It'll be a contested ball because McLeod from the other direction was quick. Dances away with seemingly apparent ease. Well, Crows had too many men in the middle. Goodwin working hard for Knights. And the Dogs with numbers back. Hargrave.
But already David McLeod has just become an attacking force off half-back whilst he's locking down on the Shawn Higgins or Jen Syracuse. They're throwing it around. He's just trying to get the footy in his hands. And he's the key, isn't he? And allowed to do that. I'd be closing him down immediately. He's the most attacking player.
Ackermanis on the wing. Receives from McMahon. Sees Eagleton alone. He could just about go all the way. Elects to kick to Cooney on the lead. And the hands are strong from the 21-year-old.
I think in many respects, Rodney Eade would see this young guy as the heir apparent to Brad Johnson. Can go up in the middle, but can also play as a deep forward.
I saw him in a final in Adelaide a couple of years ago as a kid of 16 or 17 when he did exactly that job and turned the game, I think, for West Adelaide.
Yep, grand final of 03. Hopes to captain the Bulldogs one day. Playing his 67th game, has been averaging just short of a goal a game. Was good last week, 29 touches and a couple against the Cats. 45 metres out. Kick looks pretty good. Goal to Cooney. Dogs get their second.
And Rowan Smith, you know the side better than most. How do you think the Dogs have set up at the moment?
Look, I think that their half forwards are playing a little bit too high up the ground. You mentioned McLeod just sipped him off and getting their run. They're just playing a little bit too high. You've got to go back and make him accountable.
Well, Gene Syracuse would appear to be his direct opponent at the present time. So he's the one that needs to get the ball in his hands to make him think defensively.
Because as suggested, Tawny's doing the lockdown on Ackermanis now, so very difficult task because McLeod's the key.
Crows by a couple of points. Darcy rucking now for the Dogs with Higgins back to Darcy, feeding Scott West. Leads on into the half-forward zone. McDougall almost wrapped up by McLeod high.
He doesn't seem to be a key target. I've seen them play 3 times now. McDougall does a bit of what you're suggesting, creates time and space for others. But each time, starting in Canberra about 4 or 5 weeks ago, the little bit he's had to do has been pretty good. I didn't class him as a great asset, but I think he's doing his job pretty well.
Andrew McDougall, the former Eagle.
Well, he appears to be a project player for Rodney Eade, but one they're prepared to experiment with on the ground rather than at Werribee.
Played just 1 game for West Coast last year, and he's second already for the Dogs. And carrying the journey from 50 for a goal.
Well, he was a very highly rated youngster over in Perth, but he lost his way over there, and in the end he lost his spot and the opportunity to play in a premiership. But there's Andrew McLeod again, just clamping down, putting the pressure on. Unfortunately, he got him a little bit high, and that resulted in a goal at the other end of the ground. So McDougall his chance at a second club to build himself an AFL career. Looks like a ruckman.
It's done well. Last week he was terrific. He's done very well.
And Cross committed there. Power has Cooney on. Back pedals. Chips it towards Johnson. Got to beat several. Bassett waiting down. Feeds it out for Edwards.
He really didn't do that well there, the youngster. He could have got back and looked for the options. He was really keen to get it going, but there were too many numbers forward.
And Stevens marks well in front of Gilby.
He's had a fair start.
Yeah.
He's a talented player. It took some time, but last year, I should say, he really rewarded the faith of Neil Craig.
Good score by White, boundary thrower.
Playing basically back, though. His better football last year was played at centre. I think that was good. He wasn't a great route to play. Seems to be doing well at centre forward.
It's a bit of a challenge, though, given Gilby's reputation. as we have a look at Van Berlo charging in, is he may have picked up an injury there, but Gilby's renowned for his run out of defence, all Australian, and he's playing on a very tallish player.
Douglas delivers Adelaide inside 50, just over the head of the intended target Bott. Hargrave mark, fed power. Now Morris can bring it out with McMahon alongside. He's got Griffin in midfield. Loops the handball over the top, hoping Johnson can run onto it. Closes to 75. Gilby to his right. He's a sharpshooter. He's got Farron Ray. Finds an opening. Kicked 9 goals, 12 last year, Farron Ray. Goal kicking not a strong suit.
But there's the other side of the coin, David. Gilby was able to push on down. Stevens was lumbering behind him. He was working hard, but hasn't got the athleticism to go with him.
Approaching time on quarter number 1. John Cock delivering to half back, and here's McLeod, who's seen a bit of it early. 7 touches now, and good vision. Good execution for Stevens. Welsh on a lead for him. Kicks well, probably in the Welsh direction, but it's over his head. Bott coming out to get to the contest. Welsh picks it up, swings onto the left boot, sizes it up, and kicks a wonderful goal. Adelaide are back in front. Welsh gets his second, and the travelling Crows fans enjoyed that.
It's an interesting one because Gilby was the one who put it in. It actually went, it got a point in the finish. That was sufficient to grab the ball. And as fast as Gilby could run back down the ground, Stevens was hovering back round the 50, couldn't get him. So it kills you. Even the turnover through the point that doesn't get a goal, it absolutely kills you on the way back.
Welsh with a couple early. 3-2, 3-1. Adelaide's lead as Van Berlo takes a break.
Just interested in your overall thoughts, David. If there was an intensity meter, what would the reading be for the two clubs?
I reckon it's about 8 or 9. I've seen more, but I think they've come to play Adelaide and realised they have to be at that level or else they're going to get wiped off the mat, and doing it very well. Got real confidence, I reckon, in the first quarter.
And the Bulldogs?
I think it's a bit below where I'd like it to be with them.
I was going to say, Jared, judging by the questioning, you're on about a 9-7 scale.
Yeah, I reckon they're just under the Dogs.
Right. Yep, because there's no question Adelaide have come out ready to play, and Goodwin, unselfish, just hands it off for Doughty, and they should be able to get their 4th goal.
I think we saw in that last set-up for a goal, there were 3 against 3 on the far forward pocket, 40 metres from where the ball's positioned now, and the Bulldogs just looked a little bit off the pace, and they coughed it up, and they gave away a goal. Rowan, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think Rodney Eade would be sitting in the coaching box at the moment thinking that the forward line are letting the ball out too easily. I think when it goes in there, it's coming out too quickly, and the backs aren't just manning up at the moment. They're getting easy shots on goal.
Doughty with a let-off for Rodney Eade's men there. He kicked just 8 goals in his 23 matches last year and should have converted that.
It's controlled most games I've seen so far this year. Intensity, not pure talent or running ability, just intensity round the contest.
Crows zoning up from the kick-in, very, very structured. About a 12-man zone from 50 metres or so.
And with the competition level becoming even more even, if I can use that word a couple of times, it just means we're going to get upset after upset, because it's almost impossible to keep intensity at 100% for the whole season. It's going to be fluctuating, and we're going to see some big upsets this year.
Last week's round of football, one of the closest opening rounds in the game's history, as McMahon, well, putting on a show on half-back as he wheels around Riley and delivers neatly towards the wing, and that's 50.
Can I just
held up?
Add a bit to that. The normal fan, the supporter who goes and watches this, can't understand that concept. You can't understand why that not for 26 weeks, for every minute of every game, you as an individual and we collectively can't apply that pressure. It is impossible humanly to do it.
I can tell you've come to play tonight, David.
Well, I get irritated by that because we think they're superhuman. They're playing the toughest game in the world.
Here's Boyd to restore the Bulldog lead. Back and forth we go on Sunday Night Football.
Well, good game of footy, but I guess you're focusing on the human aspects of the game, and you as a coach tried to turn your players into robots so you could get and I say that in a flattering way, but you try to get them to ignore the human aspect so you can get, I guess, a predictable machine. But here we have Stuart Appleby at the Masters this morning. He missed a 12-inch putt. Why? Because he's human.
And that's exactly the element that we've not been able to control. I heard Neil Craig say that. He'll be very good at understanding this and what happens in and validating this, that, and the other. Not too good at the human stuff, is he?
4 lead changes already. Shirley dumped there. Riley trying to butter up. That kick was, shall we say, well smothered by Matthew Boyd, but the ears might be ringing a little. Tawney caught high. And Minson then sits on him for good measure. And I don't want Big Will sitting on me. I can tell you that. Tawney going short. This is Shirley.
Rodney Eade said before the match he would be happy with 8 interchange per quarter. We'll find out how many he's had. How many do you think he would have had right now, David?
I reckon he's probably a dozen already.
Perry for Knights. Driving Adelaide towards the hot spot. Oh, Welsh was committed. Power got KO'd there. Stevens running out of room. Does well to keep it in. Feeds it back. This is Hudson. 55 out. Long to the top of the square. Thompson off the ground. Bulldogs happy to concede a behind.
Wasn't it very cool, Stevens into Hudson? Wasn't that good? He has matured. He's certainly got better.
Rowan Smith has asked the interchange judge, and it's 10 apiece at the present time. In fact, it's 10 to the Bulldogs and 13 to Adelaide. So Rocket's got his hands tied under his rule. In fact, he had them tied about 5 minutes ago when it was 8.
I can see that for the game's greater thinkers, that is going to be one of the discussion points over the next 8 months or so, leading into potential rule changes.
There's going to be a discussion on the couch after what David told you earlier. I think we'll have a good look at it on Monday night.
Breaking news at our Sunday pre-game show as Bode drives it long inside 50. Bulldogs have got the numbers here. White knocking it down to Cross. Wrapped up. Adelaide a chance. Perry going for Thompson. And White ensuring the ball's going nowhere.
And there won't be any coach animosity there was where they just accept it, don't you? They just think whatever's delivered up the coaches will say that's fine with us.
Darcy in the goal square now, full forward for the Dogs.
And he's a different target to McDougall. McDougall the leader.
This is Thompson with a hurried kick at goal, dribbling through for a behind.
Darcy also probably prefers the lead, but he is capable, I think, of utilising the space behind more than McDougall, and also has got a greater ability over his head.
It's 15 to 16 goals apiece at this intensity. Would they be able to run it for the rest of the game? Can we expect a 4 or 5 goal a quarter from each of these clubs? Would that be asking too much?
Oh, I think it would be, but I think that's what maybe one of the bonuses. You might get some structure back in where players play, and you might get 3 or 4 guys maintained in the forward line rather than having them all behind the footy.
Gilby towards Ackermanis with McLeod pursuing.
The advent of the resting forward pocket may come back.
Here's Ackermanis getting bowled over by a committed Matthew Bode, who won the footy as well. That'll make the highlights tape for Adelaide as Van Berlo goes down the centre corridor for Stevens. It deserves something, and they should give Matthew Bode a pat on the back for helping engineer this shot at goal.
Well, I reckon this boy's just about been the difference to this point in the game. He's given a real target. He's been smart. He's read it early. Hands have been smooth. If you can put it away, he's been a great asset.
Grew up with a Tony Lockett poster on the bedroom wall, did Scott Stevens, and kicking like the big fella there. Adelaide back on top. Lead change number 5 at the MCG.
Sure, that's 2. Is that 2 for Stevens? I reckon they were both kicked from outside 50.
And in an era where there is very few holes in the forward 50 to lead off, to pass off to leads, if the ball comes in less than rapidly, it's a massive advantage to have a bloke who can convert outside 50.
Stevens with 9 touches and 5 marks.
He's only kicked 1, so the other one was someone else outside 50. I apologise for that.
Hudson.
Came back to him. Knock it out if you
wrapped
can.
up by Darcy.
If you can.
And the Crows win out. Shirley for Doughty. Long towards Perry. Got to beat 2. Hargrave third man up with the spoil. Power for Hargrave for West. Loops it over the top. White for Power. Short. Not 15. Play on. McMahon. A little bit unsure of themselves, the Bulldogs here. Crows' pressure from their forwards is excellent. Goodwin just couldn't hang on to West. Might have opened the door for them. McMahon goes to the outer wing. And now Morris. Waning seconds of the opening term. Gian Siracusa. Bulldogs trailing by 4 points. Centering ball. Darcy, the target, takes the mark inside of 10 seconds. Important kick. And he decides to square it up for Hargrave. And the siren's going to beat the Bulldogs unless this can be marked within range. Well, it is marked. Murphy, though, plays on. And that will do us. Entertaining opening term on Sunday Night Football. And after 5 lead changes, it's the Crows by 4 points.
It hasn't been dominated by a Goodwin, has it?
No.
You went past it.
Crows to the right. Right on cue. Simon Goodwin, coach. You would have revved him up, no doubt. Gilby, the spoil. Beneath the members, it wobbles, rolls. Will it go out of bounds? No. Perry does well. Gave it for Doughty. Hurries a kick inside 50. Watch the bounce. Important. Hargrave wants the line. Won't get there. Gilby's about to be caught by Thompson. Maybe heard him coming. Got the handball away quickly. Again, Adelaide's commitment is good. Too much. Give away a free. McMahon to Brad Johnson floating on half back.
Hands off, Nathan. Hands off.
Luke Darcy in the goal square with Rutten. Shawn Higgins, who's a very talented young man, but he's up against a bloke who knows how to play a bit, Andrew McLeod.
And McLeod just peeling off a little bit, so Higgins will have the question in his mind, do I go with him or not? Eagleton to the outer wing. This is Morris. And look at Eagleton. Works so hard. Gets the footy back. Closes to 65. Lays the handball up for Griffin. Sold him into some heavy traffic and he's gone under a good Bassett tackle. And the Crows are on the counter strike quickly. Bode can go to midfield for Thompson. Takes the mark. Riley wants it at centre half forward. He goes wider to Shirley. Riley is still alone short. Shirley going long to the goal square. Bock, big target. The mark in the goal. He's got his second. Crows by 10 points.
Well, it's just good movement by the Adelaide Crows, who won the footy again in their defensive 50, and they pushed it straight down the ground. I thought that Jordan McMahon had to do more with his body there. Instead of just bodying, he had to go the football. His body's not big enough to knock the Bock off the ball. There it is there. He had to go the footy, punch it away from the clearance, and that decision, I guess, has cost them the goal.
Three last week, 2 so far for Nathan Bock.
Just on Eagleton, we see him getting away and having plenty of the footy. I thought Van Berlo was running with West early in the piece, but that does appear as if it's only a cover. And Van Berlo and Eagleton are playing fairly wide of each other and getting plenty of it.
Good hands from the Dogs. Ackermanis kick smothered well. Doughty with the pressure. Did it very well.
Well, they're struggling at the moment. Western Bulldogs are. They're not getting clean possession. Even when they've run and used, they're not as precise as they've been. Blokes on the receive, hand pass and kick have been under extreme duress.
Vincent, good hit out for Gilby. Now Ackermanis. Centering ball is a dangerous kick if the Crows get it. Johncock couldn't. Higgins was outnumbered 2-1. He is a quality young man. What a goal by Shawn Higgins. It threatened to be an Adelaide takeaway. Johncock couldn't hang on, and Higgins was all class.
Oh, was it a needed goal in the context, the big context of this game? And he did it so well for a young man. Got a spill that probably he didn't earn, but he got a spill and just ran through the line and kicked it with absolute precision.
He'd have to be one of the favourites, the early favourites for the NAB Rising Star. I think he snuck into the criteria by one game after a broken elbow last year.
The Bulldogs were surprised that he was still there at pick number 11 in the 2005 National Draft after he was in the TAC Cup Team of the Year that year for the Geelong Falcons. And he's shaping up as being a fine prospect. 4 points the margin. Crows with the takeaway. Bode's handball, though, ineffective as power feeds Gilby. Punches it towards West. As he was falling it over, he got it to his protege and crossed to Griffin, Eagleton. Oh, Matner, that tackle stuck. It was a beauty. It was like running into a wall there and we'll get a bounce.
Now, David, the crowd will be saying too much handball, and maybe there was one too many, but in effect it was just a poor handball. Eagleton, if he had been put on his chest, he was on his left foot.
Agreed.
From the bounce, clearance Adelaide, McLeod, Johncock. Working it to Goodwin, goes short for Riley. Now, no free men downfield, so he waits. Van Berlo into space. Can keep going here. Van Berlo with a long ball. 2-on-2 inside forward 50. Bott with the body strength against Morris. If it's in the air, you're going to back him. And he's going to have his 4th shot at goal here in this first half, lining up for his 3rd goal.
That's a massively difficult task, isn't it? Just body size and strength. Every time it comes down 1 out, it's almost got to go to him.
We know Morris would have the foot speed, but in the air, you favour this.
Well, it's the
24-year-old Crow.
It's the Gilby match-up again, the same sort of thing. Get an advantage one way, but it's a huge disadvantage the other.
Perhaps the answer to Adelaide's forward question, Bott with his 3rd. That's 6 in less than 6 quarters to start the season.
Clint, the bloke inside, and I've been a great admirer of his over a while, how he can continue getting to the end of his career. But Edwards has been super today in the tight, really tight stuff, and he's one that had to lift up and has provided, I think, terrific input.
What about the Burlow-Eagleton matchup? Are you happy with them both playing wide, David? Get your thoughts in just a tick.
No holding here.
I don't like that at all, but that was my way of coaching, because one's going to hurt you, Eagleton's going to hurt you more than the other one.
41-31, Adelaide. Heading forward again with Perry right on the 50. Too far out. Laid it off to Riley. Kick well smothered by White. Loose ball at midfield. Edwards squeezes the kick forward. Dogs are there. Gilby. His kick smothered by Riley. Anything you can do, he said. Feeds it to Perry. His birthday tomorrow. He can celebrate now. Crows on the march. Their lead is 16 points. And Ian Perry would have enjoyed that.
Well, right now, I reckon Rodney Eade knows that he is well and truly in danger of losing 4 points here. The 1%ers by the Adelaide Crows, I think, are significantly better at the moment. They got a goal out of this one. Gilby went back. He saw it, Mark, but it was a pretty good smother there from Riley. And he got it up to Perry. And that was an emphatic goal from a bloke under pressure.
Kearney to bring it back into play. True wing position going short. Higgins.
Thanks, Chris.
This is a very dangerous kick.
He better hope that Morris gets it. He doesn't. It's 3-on-2 otherwise. Bode caught. Was it a fair tackle? It was. He's wrapped up by Morris. And the umpire comes into bounce.
Well, you hope that's a bit of a sign, though, because they're outnumbered there and actually got a ball that was equal.
Knights with the hit out. Cross giving the hand pass away. Gian Syracusa feeding Johnson.
Got the numbers. Gilby's off. He's running and he'll get it into the deep into the forward 50.
Gilby short. McMahon inside 50. McDougall nudged out of it well by Rutten. Hargrave at the back feeding it to Murphy. Dodging and weaving. Towards West, got to beat a couple. Ground level, had no support. Thompson, Adelaide away. Edwards now.
Line up.
Look at them. A murder of Crows through midfield as Knights drives it deep towards full forward. Stevens, good use of the body. It was a subtle enough nudge. He didn't push, and now he'll have a shot at goal to extend Adelaide's lead to 22 points.
Another clear indicator, I think, Jared, is that we talk about the numbers bit, but
look at that
each
reaction.
of the disputed boys.
What a reaction from Rodney Eade.
Well, he'll be pretty frustrated at the moment because they've been outnumbered at every significant contest too.
Stevens for his 2nd. Got some targets up forward, the Crows, and a very handy lead now. So you've got Bock with 3, Stevens with 2, Welsh with 2, Perry with 1. The targets are delivering so far.
And what are we going to do? We, being Western Bullies, what are we going to do against those targets? Where are they going to get the strength? It's the Harris-type player that they need right now to one of those 3 don't have access.
Yeah, I think their biggest issue, David, is through the middle. It's just that intensity. That ball came out of a forward line where it generally shouldn't come out of, so they were allowed to get one out, and that's exposing their perceived weakness.
True, and it probably wouldn't matter too much, Jared, who the matchups were at that stage. You're right, the delivery's going to kill you.
Adelaide with 5 of the last 6 goals of this match as Perry takes a breather, and they've engineered a 22-point lead.
And speaking McDougall, Rowan, what's your thoughts on the centre half forward for the Bulldogs?
I think what will happen in the next couple of minutes is that Will Minson will come on. He's on the bench at the moment. Darcy will move forward and McDougall will go down back. They've already said that during the pre-season that he can play forward and back. I think it's time for him to go back now.
Are you sensing they're flat, Rowan?
No holding, no blocking.
Are you sensing they're flat?
Yeah, they are a little bit. A couple of minutes ago, their intensity did lift, their tackling pressure, but they're just their turnovers. They're just trying to be too cute at the moment.
Gian Syracuse hurries the kick forward. Bounce important. Bassett trapped at will. Wrapped up by Robbins. John Cock away. Got the handball away in the nick of time, and it was a beauty as well. The bounce good for Knights. Kicks Adelaide to half forward. Bode leading in the race for it. McMahon holding his jumper, giving away a free. Some momentum about this Adelaide team. Halfway through the second quarter. Long ball. These forward targets have been good. Stevens caught behind on this occasion. Bulldog defence under siege. Bock wraps up Gian Syracuse.
I reckon Rowan's spot on. They lifted the intensity. We saw Ackermanis have a shot at goal, and all of a sudden it almost dissipated when they chose a couple of poor options. Higgins went across the ground, but we've got an Adelaide Crow in some
that's
serious...
John Cock behind play. Meanwhile, play continues. Adelaide in attack. The big ruckman Hudson swings onto the left and pushes it across the face for a behind. They might need a stretcher for Graham John Cock.
That'll be a stoppage now for the stretcher.
Well, this is what Adelaide do not want. Another injury.
They are calling for the stretcher here, guys.
After such a terrific year last year where he finished third in the club best and fairest. And we'll wait. There's Adelaide leading by 23 points, holding that right ankle there, Jared.
Well, I didn't see what happened. Let's have a look here. Left ankle went underneath, which is a most unusual way of it is his left ankle.
Look at the right. After the turn, got it trapped.
Oh, yeah.
Underneath.
Spot on. So, could have done both ankles.
So, a stoppage here.
He's just too slow making his...
Now Griffin. To the outer side, McLeod affects the spoil, follows it up well.
We've seen this in almost every loss this season, but as soon as the pressure comes on, the defensive side gets the ball out of their defensive area slowly, which exacerbates their problem because there's a turnover, as we've just seen executed, and the Crows are going to go in and kick another goal, you'd expect, which heightens the problem for the Bulldogs. Good play by the Crows. Have taken the ascendancy, and they are really taking it up to the Dogs and showing them how to play.
20 gone.
Always a lot of speculation about the origin of Ben Hudson. Was a Victorian kid, moved to Mount Gravatt in Queensland at the age of 8 before returning to Victoria, now plying his trade with the Adelaide Crows and usually kicking a little better than that.
And they're being flattered right now, the Bulldogs on the scoreboard. They could easily be another 2 or 3 goals down.
It's 25 points. We are in time on. Quarter number 2 will be a long one after Graham Johncock was stretchered off with an apparent leg injury. West going for Eagleton. The Dogs with just 1 goal this quarter. It came 3 minutes in through Shawn Higgins.
Looking forward to half-time, Clinton. We're going to get David to get fired up as a coach would if he was coaching the Western Bulldogs, and see if we can't expose that jugular vein again with a little bit of intensity.
Ackermanis driving it in the direction of Higgins. Matner provides the spoil. Minson onto the left.
Well played.
Bassett read it very well.
Just getting numbers back each and every time, the Crows.
Good one. For Riley. Pops it up to space on the wing. Leading in the race forward is Edwards. The bounce eludes him. Cross. Always so wonderful with the hand pass. Was number 2 to Scotty West in the AFL last year. Gilby going to Eagleton. Now space in the forward pocket. Ackermanis running on. Eagleton centering it. Well, he made McDougall work for it. And Goodwin's got Riley. Deflected to McLeod. For Goodwin again. Cross with the wall set up for the Dogs. 3 minutes from half-time. Gilby wants it back. 55 out. Blazers away. Hudson is there.
They're still in the downward spiral at the present time, the Bulldogs. They've got to find a way to goal to try and just put a ceiling, or sorry, a floor underneath their performance.
Crows can afford to be patient. Here's Richard Douglas. In just his 5th senior game. Crows just waxing it around in the back line. Now, working hard is Stevens. Defensive side of the southern wing. Had to be precise with the kick to Edwards, and he was not. Gian Siracusa. Crows have got the ruckman Hudson filling the gap back inside the defensive 50, so no free men for the Dogs. As Knights runs it out now, spears the ball to Perry, looking for someone to give it off to in the form of McLeod, who's run all game and had 18 touches, and he floats this one in the path of Goodwin, who's been terrific as well. And his 18th possession could be a shot at goal to extend this Adelaide lead beyond 5 goals.
Without the conversion, with the conversion, Adelaide would have had this game signed, sealed and delivered. We probably would have seen a very boring second half as they close it up and make it impossible. Just no energy to the Western Bullies at all, and particularly when they've got the ball. The options just aren't coming from behind or in front.
It's a stunning script unfolding as Goodwin misses. 8-10 now to 5-2. 18 scoring shots to 7, and the Crows have kicked a couple out of bounds as well. As David said, the margin could have been the better part of 8 goals here. The Bulldogs have been comprehensively outplayed. A minute to go in the half. Can they get one late? Gilby with the footy at centre-half back.
I reckon work rate is going to get a fair workover in the half-time break.
For our active subscribers, there's a camera on Rodney Eade right now. We'll try and keep it up on the Bulldogs rooms throughout the half-time break. Ray is brought down. Ackermanis is bumped. Tawney getting the hand pass away. Now Goodwin receives from Van Berlo. Feeds it to Douglas. Goes along. Can Griffin beat 2? McMahon should back himself. Oh, he does. It's in mouth stuff for Dog fans as Cross is upended.
They're leaving each other one out though. They're not working to the space. They're trying to beat too many men. Everybody's on the receiving end and nobody's working to create options, as David said.
This is what they're renowned for. Final seconds of the half. 10 to go. Higgins in front.
Great one for the contest, David, just to keep the game alive.
Well, you'd be getting that on film straight away. You'd have it in the coach's box. When you'd whack him in there as soon as it... Well, that's what I'd be doing. I'd be saying, go and get that, because that's the one small highlight in a disastrous quarter of football that suggests what we can do and we must do if we're going to win the game.
Shawn Higgins, the baby-faced 19-year-old, lining up for his second of the quarter, and to make the margin 20 points at half-time, and it's an important kick, and he misses everything. And at half-time, what a story. Adelaide 8-10. The Bulldogs 5 goals to the margin 26 points.
No deposit, no interest, no repayments till November 2008. Now at Harvey Norman. Update lounges, dining suites and occasional furniture. Makeover with bedding, bed linen and bedroom furniture now. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till November 2008. Now at Harvey Norman. Go for the latest home entertainment and lifestyle appliances. Upgrade your computer and mobile technology now. Why wait? Buy now at Harvey Norman with 20 months interest free. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till November 2008 at Harvey Norman now.
You can now vote for the 5th Annual Astra Awards. Vote for your favourite subscription TV stars and programs and go into the draw to win a trip for 2 to this year's Astra Awards or a LCD flat screen TV. It's your choice. Go to channel 222 and press the red button to vote, or go online at astraawards.com. The 5th Annual Astra Awards. Vote now to win. Driven by Holden Astra.
Score points with your family. Go home. Fly Pacific Blue to New Zealand and the Pacific Islands. And right now you can fly from just $249. Book now at flypacificblue.com.
Get your original Aussie Rules club song on your mobile. SMS footy to 194888. Get your footy team ringtone on your mobile. SMS footy to 194888.
Get mobile active.
Want to represent your local pub in the 2007 Pub Golf Challenge? Just grab 3 mates and your team will go head-to-head with other pub teams. If your team wins and becomes state champions, you'll be off to the Gold Coast. Go one step further and become national champions and you'll be heading to Vegas. Your publican will love you and the bragging rights. It's just $99 plus GST per head to enter. Great golf, great fun. Enter now. Go to pubgolf.com.au or call 1300 300 516.
The Adelaide Crows, they're in front, but they've got to protect that lead.
No, just get the first couple. I reckon they've got to score, not just hold on there. Just score quickly and it will diminish any light.
Well, we should see early. Crows to the left through Goodwin. The punt road in. They're attacking and it starts early with Scott Stevens.
There's a bit of a smell about last night about this one when the Geelong Football Club got the first goal after three-quarter time and then the floodgates came bursting open. Now, the Bulldogs are a much better team than Carlton, but this is just not the start that the Dogs wanted, but everyone in Adelaide would be in absolute raptures if this goes through.
Scott Stevens for his third. Kick on its way. It's good. What a start. The lead is 32 points.
Well, you just couldn't get a better start. The domination of the first half was in the middle. They continued that. And, well, this experiment is starting to fail, David, because Scott Stevens has just been too tall for Gilby, and they're getting the ball in so quickly that Gilby is unable to use his skills and the things that his athletic abilities to expose Stevens.
Well, they are getting exposed, but in an unfair way. We're saying size and shape down, which they normally do because of the pressure in the midfield. Yep. No pressure, good night.
Adelaide are doing to the Bulldogs tonight what we thought Geelong were going to do last week. Stretch them down back with the tools. It didn't happen then. It's happening now. Stevens with 3. Bock with 3. Welsh with a couple.
But as David said, a short defence will only work if you've got intensity in the middle of the ground. If you let the ball go in easily, and here's another easy out for the Crows, they're going to get exposed.
Edwards sending Adelaide towards half forward. Thompson there first. Griffin does well. He held the ball in there. A bounce will be called for.
He's been super. I thought Edwards might be a huge expectation for him to come up today, getting towards the end, but he's been the best inside player on the ground by a mile, including the little
Scotty West.
Yeah.
Going nowhere. Should be another bounce.
Get off him, Tyson!
At the other end of the ground, we've got 4 very talented players. They're all midfield runners, but they're all capable forwards as well. Brad Johnson, Ackermanis, Luke Darcy, to name 3, and Adam Cooney is the 4th. All in the goal square.
Got to get it down there. Not coming out of here in a hurry.
And if you have a quick look, Jared, they've got a 7-man forward line right now, Western Bulldogs. 7 men in there, which is going to make it hard to create the space when the time comes.
There they are. Throw the blanket over.
And there's only
8 of them.
4 of them in Adelaide's front half.
And Van Berlo splits the pack open, but McMahon peeled off, read it well. Now, Gian Siracusa worked hard for him. He's the next kick on. Higgins takes this one, loops it over the top. This could be brighter for the Dogs. It's Griffin on the run. He has to lift, and his kicks are goal. They needed that. Dogs get 1 back. And as we were at half-time, the margin is 26 here on Fox Sports AFL.
Well, that's the first one I named at half-time. I've named him at half-time, and he's reacted to the splurge very, very effectively.
This is a brilliant kick. It didn't have much loop on it. It was penetrating, quick through the air. And we just haven't seen enough of it from Griffin, and that's why the coach got pretty upset with him at half-time. Just half a dozen kicks. It's not up to his standard.
From the surf town of Goolwa in South Australia, played with South Adelaide, now plying his trade with the Dogs and getting them back to within 26 points. Ryan Griffin on the run, a good sight. Will it provide that spark that they need? McMahon knocks it in the path of Cross, who uses those quick hands to give it to Power, and now Ray. Towards half forward, it's Johnson and Bassett. Bassett creative. Boyd turning it over. Edwards.
Good kick.
Seizing the day. Feeding Bode.
Space.
And filling that space on the lead. Bock. Goes short. Great kick for Welsh.
They are right on at the moment, the Adelaide Crows. They are hunting in numbers and they're delivering at a level that is consistent with any club in the comp at the moment.
I'd try and change that front half structure for the Western Blues. Talk about that after this shot.
Played 36 games for the Kangaroos, one of which was on this ground to win a premiership flag 8 years ago. Lining up for his third. Close. Missing.
Pretty important miss, I think, for Western Blues. You've got a 7 versus a 4 front half, and that's what's happening at the moment. Even if you do get reasonable midfield use, there's going to be struggle to set it up, and that might have changed a bit, but that was so easy going in to find the space.
Dogs huddle again. Kick in makes McMahon work. Now West, a little sloppy the Dogs, a little ragged. Dilby punching the handball through. The run from Higgins to Ray to Griffin. This is better. Griffin, long and direct, inside the forward 50. Douglas under pressure from McManus. Bassett caught by Darcy. Crows defence under enormous scrutiny here. They want a free. G and Syracuse with a hurried snap across the face for a behind.
Well, that's the best defensive pressure once the ball at the ground in the Western Blues that we've seen for the whole game.
So the challenge is going to come from the Crows, but they've got plenty in the bank at the moment.
6-3 plays 9-11 as Tawney takes off down the outer wing, feeding Riley.
And sustaining it is going to be the challenge for the Bulldogs. At the moment, it's probably a facade, but can they execute it over a period of 30 minutes?
Van Berlo on the run. That's an important one. Van Berlo with the finish, and they're back out by 32 points.
Yeah, you can manufacture enthusiasm, David, and that's where it starts. You've got to start somewhere if it's hasn't been put into the system throughout the week. But we'll find out when the Crows come back and answer whether or not the Western Bulldogs can continue to sustain this manufactured level of improvement.
Well, that looked good to me. It's been too easy middle forward.
Nathan Van Berlo, the geophysics student, finding the angle there as Lindsay Gilbey takes a spell.
Had a good game, Van Berlo.
Minson the hit out. Edwards sharks it. Tripped up. Advantage play on. Thompson's got Perry.
That's 3 for 3 out of the middle.
Dominating up lane. Look at Riley into space. Should play on. Elects to wait. We'll have a set shot at goal.
What would the great Jack Dyer say, knowing that we had a geophysicist in our midst?
I know you got the answer to that, not me.
He would work something into it, I'm sure.
Studies, tectonic plate movements, volcanoes, that sort of thing.
How easy it has been to find not just the usable player, but the space for him to get into. It's been so easy for Adelaide in the first few minutes forward.
This for 3 goals in the opening 8 minutes of the quarter. And Riley, a set shot miss as well. They could have had it finished. 10-12 to 6-3, Rowan Smith.
Just an interesting move that the Bulldogs have done at the moment. They've put Lindsay Gilbey up forward. She's struggled down back tonight just with height. And they've moved Robert Murphy up but down back.
Had to try something, as David said.
Murphy just 2 kicks in the first half.
Hasn't got near it, and I guess he built his pedigree in defence.
There's a stunning error from Griffin.
Good mark.
Miss at Minson on the outer side. Short for cross. Got to wake from their slumber, the Dogs. It's not happening yet. Bock read it well. Hudson for Goodwin. Kick effective to the wing. McLeod. Chip for Riley. Drives it into the pocket where Welsh is leading hard. Couldn't mark. Has support from Stevens. Good pressure, though, by Morris initially. Now Murphy for Griffin again. For Cooney.
He ran too far, and then he couldn't execute.
Tawney for Bock. Thumps it long. Welsh has got the set. And the mark.
But it was just a decision error coming through by Adam Cooney. He wanted to run, he wanted to handball, and then as he knew he had to kick, he'd run out of steps. So he was under enormous pressure, and in the end he just coughed up a handball, and this shot at goal results.
Like the Griffin drop mark. I mean, they're just basic errors which destroy the individual but just muck up the team.
This for a 39-point lead to double the Bulldogs score. No mistake that time. Welsh with his third.
We had a birthday during the week, Rodney. I think it was number 49. He wouldn't have seen this one coming. I think the one thing that we've always said about the Western Bulldogs, they can win, they can lose, but they have very rarely been questioned in their work rate, David, and at the moment that has been undermining their performance.
And it's just not happening, and it's sad that what was said at the start has been carried throughout.
Welsh, Stevens, Bock, all with 3 goals for the Crows. And in Rodney Eade's 200th game as an AFL coach, the Dogs have a mountain to climb. Minson the head out. Cross the knock on. Adelaide the recovery. McLeod for Knights. Look at them. 3 men. Thompson, Riley. Leads are provided. He goes longer to Perry and Welsh. Perry in front. Name all over it. Plays on.
From there.
Finishes it. And this one's just about done. It's a stunning performance from the Crows. They're 45 points up and have kicked 4 goals in the opening 11 minutes of this third term.
Well, it started in defence. The Red Sea parted, and Andrew McLeod pushed Moses out of the way, and he came charging through, David.
And it was all over. They didn't see the ball again, Western Bullies. I mean, they saw it being manoeuvred and finally kicked by Perry. Smart enough to run off every time he can these days.
Hudson. Rodney Eade barks out the instructions. We'll check in with Rowan.
Adelaide are renowned for this. They'll do this. They're 45 points up. They're just going to take their time. They're just going to be patient, and they just spread for each other and just wait for a clear option, and they'll just hold it up.
Go have a drink, mate.
Well, surely part of that, Rowan, is that Andrew McLeod gets manned up, and he is always available on the other side of the ground to be the exit man.
And that's what the Bulldogs have to just go one-on-one. There's no excuses for leaving any free men at all.
Free kick advantage play on Ackermanis to Griffin. Coming up on halfway through quarter number 3. Griffin towards Johnson.
That was a beautiful kick.
Now, only man inside 50 for the Dogs is Power, so Johnson trying to play on and is beaten point blank.
Well, McLeod hasn't got a man at the moment.
And that's criminal when you consider he's had it 22 times. Johnson hails the cab, will get a bounce.
Yeah, Rove!
Well, West was trying to break the tag by going to Goodwin, so clearly they're going a man-on-man format, and yet McLeod has been allowed to waltz around by himself. Looks like Cross is a free man right here in front of us, David, on centre wing.
Dogs waiting in the wings here. Although Adelaide have just been a bit harder at it today. Perry now against White. Play on the call. Hargrave upended. Crows away.
Kept his feet.
Creative. Riley. A chance for atonement. Great goal. The lead is 51 points.
I know you can't win it unless you take a risk and run it. I mean, that's probably what Rodney was saying. We've got to go back to the things we do well. But I think there's a learning experience here. They're probably not going to win the game, although they did come back against Adelaide, I think, in a similar game last year. And Belt was here. 6 or 7 they kicked straight unanswered, so you're going to rely on that. But no, it's not going to happen. Let's get the contest stuff. Let's close the McLeods down. Let's go 1 for 1 for start.
Talk about is organised chaos.
Yeah.
Because they're a smaller team, they've got to find a structure. Tonight, there's just no organisation at all.
Robbins, yeah, it's just chaos. Gian Syracuse now on the run, misfiring.
Even Siegfried is confused.
McLeod finally gave one back with a bit of a leery square up across, and they still couldn't put him away. Still didn't cost him.
Rowan, you know about the what drives this team. They're just flat, obviously. Is it just the round 2 blues, or is there something else happening that we don't know about?
Not too sure, Jared. The one thing that the team always speaks about is being competitive. And I know Rodney Eade for a fact just hates it when the Bulldogs get beaten soundly. So when they come out in this last quarter, I think you'll hopefully, you'll see a different side.
Well, we hope that at the third quarter, didn't we? And at quarter time and before the game. What really upsets me is that the standard has been set and nothing has changed.
Stevens hurries the kick towards half forward, and it's over. There's a free kick. Is it going to the Crows? No. Boundary throw in. A fair call. Umpire Ray Chamberlain said as the kick was made. Ackermanis ready to come back into the fray. 3.5 minutes from three-quarter time. Eagleton wrapped up. The intensity of this Adelaide Crows team has been something to be admired today.
I think the most supportive person has been the umpire. Ray's been very good with his well done and good
knock
play,
on,
good
nice
knock
hit out.
on. So I think somebody better tell him he's not coaching.
There he is. And that's a good call from Ray to toss it in the air. If the ground's soft on that outer side, I think a lot of people, Ruckman included, would like to see the ball tossed in the air at all stoppages around the ground, save the centre bounce for the middle.
Tell you what, the Bulldogs have been very disappointing. If we have dropped to the level of wrapping up Ray's encouragement, we know that we're struggling here because the Adelaide Crows are absolutely turning on a show here.
They are toweling the Dogs up. Just 6 goals for this much vaunted team. Victoria's best hope of a premiership, say some. They're being flogged by 50 points. They're turning it over like that. Cooney handballing it to Bassett.
He's been superb, Bassett.
Yep, clever kick to Rutten. Getting it on, Mattner is brought down. Fair tackle, says the umpire. Higgins for Boyd. For Eagleton. Look out, Crows closing fast. Eagleton kicking long. Robbins the target and the mark. And now his first kick for the day will be aiming for a much-needed goal for the Dogs. He booted 45 last year, did Matthew Robbins, second at the Whitten Oval to Brad Johnson.
First kick for the evening. Just to reiterate your point, Clinton. Thank you.
45-degree angle. Robbins. Close. He's missing as well. Look of anguish on his face. Bemusement for Rodney Eade. How is this happening? Crows short out of the back half. McLeod. It's been a touch of Andrew McLeod of old. Didn't train on Thursday because of a bruised arm. 30 years young, but this is one of his best of recent times.
The intelligence coming across the border was that potentially he had a fracture, and yet there's been no sign of it.
Yeah.
Although with Andrew McLeod, you're never quite certain. Such is his capacity.
Well, he's never played injury-free, as far as I know. And if he ever came out completely free, probably wouldn't get a kick.
And this is a Crows team with Burton await withdrawal, without Henshaw, Biglands, Rashudo, McGregor. There are some names there.
Who'd all be first pick.
Easy, yeah. And among the top dozen by way of their importance, Bulldog fans are confused. But they've got to get used to life without Henshaw and Biglands for this year, at least Adelaide, and the signs tonight have been good. We're in the final minute of the quarter. Hasn't been a goal for a while, more than 10 minutes. Adelaide with 5-1 for the term. Trying to finish with another. Going deep, Bode. He hangs on to it well against Gilby. He was up against an All-Australian there, was Matthew Bode, and that was impressive.
It was a great mark.
Yeah, I just love the way that big Nathan Bock charging through. He knew it was a one out. He kicked it to his advantage, over his head. He used his hands, not in the back, just used his hands to protect his space, and Bock has set him up for a shot at goal.
Bode the late call-up for Burton, playing his first game for the year and kicking his first goal. Standing ovation from those two with 6 seconds remaining in the quarter. Adelaide lead by 55 points.
And they'd be pleased about that. I think young Bode became, I think, an integral part of their forward setup because he provided a very different creative ground manoeuvrability, which that team, quite frankly, hasn't had. He's the small, quick, and they need one. and he's struggled apparently pre-season with form, etc. And he only got in because of a late call-up, so it's nice. They'll be happy about that because he has contributed well. I noticed that when you look at Adelaide have had only 3 players, if you take John Cock out, who haven't had a dozen or so possessions. If you count down for Western Bullies, it's about 9 or 10.
Knock out if you can.
Final seconds running off the clock in the third term. And there it is. Dogs to the left in the punt road in. Darcy first hand to it and is ironed out by Bock. That was a big hit. Oh my. Luke Darcy doing well to get up after that one, but he is feeling it. Ironed out by Nathan Bock, who's a big unit himself. Darcy slightly off the contest, waves the trainers away as from the clearance it's Eagleton of the Dogs. 55 out, going deep. Eyes for it, G and Syracuse. Johnson's going to get a gift. And they get the opening goal after 35 seconds. Trouble though for the Bulldogs with Ackermanis limping off. Brad Johnson with his first.
Well, 8 of those to go and we've got a game. And if they get about it the same way as they did the first bounce, it was a terrific hit. I don't know whether the review committee will have a look at that first hit. It was pretty high and hard, but it was a really ferocious effort by the Western Bullies.
Geez, we'll have another look at that because Ackermanis has done his hamstring on that one.
As Ackermanis works on that left hamstring. Another look. Just stretching it out, and he knew straight away. It's a handball away, now a second. West always finds the football, 24 touches, but forced to blaze away, and Adelaide have got all of the numbers across half back. Edwards. Now Goodwin to Perry. Good use of the space by the Adelaide forwards. Perry goes to a one-on-one. Bock should beat Gilby. He's too strong for him.
He's like the big man and the young boy.
I suppose they had to go back to it. I mean, he didn't last all that long up forward. They couldn't find another suitable opponent. That's a bit of a weakness, full stop, in the Western Bully structure, isn't it? They just don't have, I mean, Hargraves and
Harris,
White.
They've got Harris waiting to come back.
Harris, certainly, but he's also a medium-sized forward, a medium-sized defender. And he does play on the big blokes better, but certainly they just don't have the flexibility. Darcy's a flexible player on and off the ball, but the rest are pretty static in their involvement.
They've done well to isolate their big men, though, the Crows.
Box got 4. Crows kick on.
Done exceptionally well, and it's been their great strength because they've won ball through the middle of the ground, and they've pushed blokes up the ground, like Perry, which has left vacancies for Stevens and for Bock a couple of times.
It's a bit like Geelong last night, got to the point going in where they could actually isolate bigger, stronger, better players one-on-one so many times. I think this happened 10 or 12 times today. You really see that 5 or 6 times in the game.
Stunned. Rodney Eade can't believe it. Masterful coaching performance from his opposite number, Neil Craig. The matchups have been right, and they've been switched on. West feeding Murphy. This run has not been evident tonight from the Dogs. Ray kept out of it well by Dowdy, freeing up Chris Knights. And he feeds it on to Bock, and the big man takes off.
I think you raise a good point, Clinton. The coach wears the can for structure, for recruiting, for game day, but the player, he's got one responsibility, and that is to turn up switched on. And if he turns up switched on, then most things fall into place. Limitations on ability, we understand that, but I reckon, David, if you've got 80% of your players turn up switched on, you're a fair chance to win.
Well, that also spreads throughout. If you've got 20% who turn up, they get knocked over by the other 80. You're quite right.
Knights down the centre corridor he kicks. Bulldogs with 4 on 3. Gilby loops the handle over the top. Higgins committed. Caught though by Van Berlo. Good chase. McLeod the gather. Stevens from 60. Long in the Perry and Bode direction. The Bulldogs are up to spoil. Boundary throw in.
And I think there's a view, David, that the coach is responsible to get the players up and to get them fired and to be their motivator. But at the end of the day, if you haven't got a significant number of self-starters in your club, you won't finish in the top half.
And that comes from leadership, in my opinion.
Eagleton feeds cross. Quick hands.
So I think the Bulldogs will very much and very quickly try to put this behind them because they've got a history to show this is a one-off event. But Rodney Eade will nevertheless be disappointed in what they've dished up tonight.
Well, you spoke about it earlier, Jared. They're meeting next week as the Crows again work it forward quickly and Welsh takes the mark. They've got St Kilda coming off a similar disappointing loss to a Brisbane team. Entering that match next week, both clubs, Bulldogs, St Kilda 1-1, as we have a look at the build-up again from the Crows. So the loser of that game is going to be 1-2 after 3, and there'll be some heat.
Oh, there's already heat. Imagine the pressure on the Dockers going into round 3 against the West Coast. Good game over in Adelaide, though. Both their teams are going to be coming off the back of wins. Port Adelaide very impressive in the opening 2 rounds, and the Crows have taken all before them tonight, including that kick.
Oh, look at that. Welsh has got 4 as well. It's been a terrific Sunday double on Fox Sports AFL for the South Australian supporters. 62 points is the lead.
And off the boot, we're in direct line, weren't we? It looked like he might have later, but is it a draw? A draw in golf. I'm not a very good golfer with left-hander with a slice. I don't know what. It was a good left-hander slice. Yeah, that's true.
It certainly did just bend from right to left and came back straight through the middle. He's back in town, Welsh.
Just wait on the light, boys.
Andrew McLeod has been running hot. Some of his teammates in the forward line. 4 to Welsh, 4 to Bock, 3 to Stevens and a couple to Perrin.
When you used to vote for games like this, David, did you consider so much the junk time that we're seeing now? Was it more those that played well when the game was up for grabs?
Exactly. Yeah.
So would McLeod feature?
Oh, I think he's been good from the word go. He started the momentum and he's continued throughout. He's had 4 quarters of great footy, no doubt about it.
Stevens been a bit quiet in the second half.
But when the game was up for grabs at the start, he was excellent. They've had good contributors across the board. They've been excellent.
I think Bassett's job on Johnson can't be underestimated.
Edwards too.
Adelaide through.
If contests were going to be the key, and we thought they were, Edwards has probably been the best inside player of both sides, so give him an absolute pump.
Oh, look out. Thompson sold his teammate Van Berlo into trouble, but he did well with the soccer away. Robbins was there for the Dogs, works with Cross, gets it back. Thumps it long. Adelaide will have the numbers if it comes to ground, and it does, and they do. And they're away, and McLeod's had it 33 times now. Edwards won't reach him. Murphy in front. Coming up on 12 minutes to play. Again, they bomb it long. So again, Adelaide have numbers, but Johnson might be a chance. Good spoil by Douglas. And he slips it creatively over for a boundary throw.
I think that's where that structure can't win. With those sort of kicks coming in, Western Bullies have just got to find. Rodney says only 1, but I reckon it's 2. Big, strong, take 2 of that Geelong forward out and put them in Western Bullies. It changed their whole way of playing.
Dog fans ready to pack up their bags there and get an early start on the traffic as Goodwin kicks to the centre. Scott West is there for the Dogs. Squares it up for Cross for Gilby. Short ball. Oh, Minson drops a mark he would normally take. Recovers for Eagleton. Too far out to score, you would think.
Thank you. Wait.
Although bereft of any free men, might have to give this a ride.
Thanks, guys.
And does. And was a fraction too far out. Thompson leads Gian Siracusa in the race for it. McLeod again. Thompson and Tawney back for Thompson. Free to Adelaide. No, it was a throw. Power to get it.
It was almost a useless kick by Eagleton, wasn't it, in the finish? I mean, he's got to ram that home. He can't ram it home. There's no option. He's got to put it in front of the square and get a second play. It nearly happened as a default, but wasn't set up properly. That's a better kick.
Hits the top of the square. You're a chance to crumb like that and kick a goal. And Adam Cooney does that. His second. You know, Dave, I'm just getting the feeling you could be a coach.
Should be a coach.
Oh, but I think one of the things that's continued to annoy me over the years when I was coaching or otherwise was a bloke who overestimates his capacity. He should know better than anybody else exactly where he is, whether he's capable of getting it, and they're going to produce the 1 in 50 or the 1 in 100 is going to make him look a hero. And it never, ever works that way.
Well, you're obviously not a golfer, Dave, because it's that 1 in 50 shot that makes you go back the next day.
I just say, gee, that felt good. Hit the sweet spot.
Jared, I haven't been back for 3 years.
Cooney with 2. Adelaide by 56 points. They're playing for percentage now, so 4 goals either way would be important still as Cooney goes long and Bassett takes the
one of the best, Bassett.
That's where Mark Thompson was very disappointed after the game last night. Let the Geelong players know about it. A 99-point lead was trimmed back to 78, and the player said afterwards he was very disappointed. Abruptly cut his media conference short, so still much to play for here in the closing 10 or so minutes of this one. Do you reckon he would have been pretty happy with the first 3.5 quarters last night?
I've never really believed a coach that said that, Clinton. In 25 years, watching and playing, any coach that wasn't happy with a 75-point win.
Well, the press journos there late last night.
He just wanted to get out of the room. It's a long drive.
Stepping it around. It's through for a behind.
Well, let's be realistic here. Who's worked hardest? I mean, the workload over the 22 presented today has been higher and better spread amongst Adelaide. Of course, at the finish, if the other mob have got any sort of, what's the word, anything left, pride in their performance, of course they'll be able to find something. They've got a half-used tank out there.
Morris. Short ball for Ray. Eagleton to centre-half back. Gilby.
Scotty, that's it! Hold there! Back half a metre! Thank you!
Polite but aggressive, the umpire. Boyd.
Ray got your votes tonight, Clinton.
He's right up there. Brad Johnson with the header towards the boundary line. Throw in.
His story's an interesting one, if you know it, because he really struggled to get there. He lived in Canberra or somewhere like that and had to give up everything and come down to Melbourne to get on the list and get a game. So good luck to him. I reckon he's got to be a teacher. He talks so much, so.
He is.
Or a lecturer. Ray Chamberlain, of course. He's our man. But he's not on screen at the moment.
Coming up on 9 minutes to go. Fans trying one last rallying cry for their team. Eagleton to Johnson. Finds power. Centering ball for Cooney. Has to wait. Van Berlo affects the spoil. And the Crow jumpers are there in vast quantities, although Bassett's hurried kick will be sent forward again by Boyd. Now Johnson on the run from 50 near the boundary line. It's a tough angle. It's a wonderful kick. Where's that been tonight? Johnson with his second. The Dogs get their third of this final term.
We'll just say something about the setup for that goal. It was a Boyd hand pass. It was a left-hand hand pass that took Johnson exactly where he needed to go. It must have gone 15 or 20 metres and allowed him to run on and set up the goal in the first one. Beautiful hit. Don't see enough of that.
Good finish from Brad Johnson. He's got a couple of goals in this final quarter. One a gift and that one he had to work for.
51 points the margin. Jason Ackermanis with work done on his left hamstring. The Dogs with 45 interchange moves tonight. The Crows with 48. If you made it a cap, Jared, what cap would you have?
Well, I reckon Rodney Eade is, he suggested 8 a match.
8 a quarter?
8 a quarter, 32 a match. It really does put more emphasis on tactical changes rather than energy changes where you're interchanging blokes purely and simply for physiological reasons, and I don't think that's too bad a game. You don't want to rob the game of the levels it's at the present time, but I think probably you want to keep your best players out there for as long as possible, so 8 a quarter looks a pretty fair figure to start with.
Eagleton drives it deep, packed forwards over the top. Higgins, young man, impressive grab. And perhaps a Shawn Higgins fan there.
Well, it was a terrific... He's not the tallest guy, is he? He's just over 6 footer, I would think, in the old terms.
Yeah, 184 centimetres.
Yeah, he set himself beautifully for it. It was a terrific mark. I thought it was a much taller player like Darcy. He's not quite so good running when he doesn't have the ball, this young man, but he'll learn that.
And this for 3 goals in a row for the Dogs. They are getting some late respectability. The margin pared back to 45 points.
Well, if they keep going at this rate, Neil Craig won't turn up for the press conference at all.
Good grab. Little bit of an infringement on the bloke in front, but got away with it, and it was a good leap. He's an athlete.
And Cooney can spear an ill-directed pass towards Higgins. It's over his head and marked by the 5th game at Douglas. Minson the spoil on Griffin. Well done, Big Will. No, not so. And Wilbur gives away the free. The point turns 22 on Wednesday was Will Minson, and was not inviting Matthew Head to the party. Perry on the outer wing can't mark. Van Berlo sees it over.
I can understand why Will was a bit upset about that. I thought he got the ball clean. But
110 playing 65. McMahon for Gian Siracusa. Now Hargrave. Adelaide with numbers.
The big man.
Stevens.
And he finds Ben Rutten. He's had a pretty quiet day, but
hasn't done too much.
I suspect he may not have had a goal kicked on him. And that's been one of his great strengths. All-Australian as a youngster, as we know, 2 years ago. And he continues to build, and he's got more tricks to his bow than just stopping stopping forwards, kicking goals. He can be an attacking player as well.
So this infuriates me. You've got to learn to do. Western Bulldogs have got to make them come to them. They've got to pick up the
Adelaide are entitled to do this, aren't they?
Oh, of course they are. It's just a lack of discipline. I mean, nobody should be free right now. Not a single Western Bulldog bloke should not have a man.
Inside of 3 minutes.
I guess it's a symptom, though, of why the scoreboard looks as it is.
Many of the 27,199 that were here this evening have headed for the exits. Disgruntled Dog fans. They've been beaten up badly tonight and face a crunch game against the Saints next week. If they are going to avoid being 1 and 2 after 3 rounds, the diehards hanging around as McLeod, off the back of 35 touches, goes short again. Goodwin's had it 33 times. And this is good to pad out the statistics, and the Fantasy League players are hoping that their guy gets a lot of the football right about now to boost those points.
I've just been watching Jordan McMahon for that last 3 minutes. Not one bloke. Not an interesting game. He's finally found his bait, but he's still being used. He's not tightening up on him, making sure he's unavailable. He'd be off, sitting on the pine for a while, being told the point.
Box short for Van Berlo.
Yeah, I think they're looking for the final siren, the Bulldogs. And have been for some time.
I reckon they're in for a tough week on the track at the Whitten Oval this week. Only negative tonight for the Crows, an ankle injury to Graham Johncock. Stay with us after the game. We'll have Rowan Smith in the Adelaide rooms to elicit more information for us as Cross gets the handball away. We're in the final 90 seconds. Can the Dogs get another one? They've kicked the last 3 of this game. Morris to Ray. Boyd. McMahon into the pocket. Gian Siracusa, awkward bounce, goes to ground. Stevens, good work on the chase. Darcy to Boyd in the middle. Johnson's going to try and get clear, but it's Higgins leading out to the far side. And he can line up his 3rd goal.
He knows how to find it, does Shawn Higgins. He's a pretty good kick. But he has to work harder in a number of areas. A couple of messages there for him from David Parkin. And he's obviously got to work long and hard through the season to build that endurance, because he's got such an acute football mind. He won't want to be limited to just kicking goals.
Good result. He's got his third. It's purely cosmetic with 21 seconds remaining. But they've got the margin inside of 40 points. It was 62 earlier this quarter. It's 39 now.
He's actually nicely put together. 184 at 85 kilos. That's probably about the game's dimensions, isn't it, for the kind of role he might play, whether he plays forward or midfield. Gets over the ground pretty well. He's athletic, gets off the ground, he's got good skills and balance. Looks a real find. That'll be one plus that's come out of the day for them.
He's a promising player. He's a promising young man. Love to see him get up into the middle of the ground. And if you don't think that Easter Bunny is real, well, you just got proof.
Final act of this match. Gee, the Dogs might get another one. Over the head of Robbins, who's had a dirty night with just 2 kicks. Crowd want deliberate, and the umpire's going to play it.
I don't reckon there was any chance of them giving it until the numbers became so strong on the other side of the fence. He just had to.
Yeah, but he can't go forward.
Gian Siracusa, can he thread the eye of the needle? Doesn't want to. He'll go back, and with a kick after the siren, Matthew Boyd can ensure the Dogs finish with 5 goals. But on a night where Andrew McLeod delivered a vintage performance, the Adelaide Crows have made a telling statement. They were simply superb. Matthew Boyd misses to the right-hand side, so the margin of victory will be 38 points. The pride of South Australia is back.